Well, hi everyone, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Mark on Comics. Today what I've got for you is the CovrPrice Top 10 list for January 20th, 2025. And they're standing on the CBCS population report, which there isn't a whole heck of a lot. So I will also be giving you sales data from CovrPrice. In the number 10 spot is the Punisher, number 1. So the Punisher CBCS population report. First off, I'll start with the direct edition. Blue label, 17 9/8. 39 6s, 24 9 4s, 21 9 2s, 12 9 0s, 18 8.5s, 9 8.0s, 8 7.5s, 9 7.0s, 2 6.5s, and 6.0s for a total of 152 Blue Label Direct Punisher number 1. Then we move on to Yellow Label. There are 6 9.8s, 20 9.6s, 14 9.4s, 24 9.2s, 13 9.0s, 14 8.5s, 6 8.0s, 6 7.5s, 8 7.0s, and 1 each 6.0 and 4.0 for a total of 113 Yellow Label Punisher number 1. Then moving on to Newsstand. 5 9.8s, 7 9.6s, 8 9.4s, 9.2s, and 9.0s. That's 8 each on those. 9 8.5s, 8 8.0s, 7 7.5s, 3 7.0s, 1 6.5, 2 6.0s, and 1 each 5 5, 5 0, 4 5, and 4 0 for a total of 70 Blue Label Newsstand. Then moving on, we have in Yellow Label Newsstand 1 9.8. 4 9.6s, 11 9.4s, 6 9.2s and 9.0s, 11 8.5s, 5 8.0s, 3 7.5s, 1 each 7.0 and 6.5, then 4 5.5s and 1 each 5.0 and 4.0 for a total of 55 Yellow Label Newsstand. Then in Blue Label Other, we have 7 9.8s, 28 9.6s, 29.4s, 15 9.2s, 5 9.0s, 4 8.5s, 3 8.0s and 7.5s, 1 7.0, 2 6.5s, and 1 each 6.0, 5.5, 5.0, and 4.0 for a total of 92 Blue Label Other. And then in Yellow Label Other, there is 1 9.8, 6 9.6s, 5 9.4s, 2 9.2s, 4 9.0s, 3 8.5s, and 1 each 8.0, 7.5, and 4.5 for a total of 24 Yellow Label Other. And in the direct edition, there were a total of 6 that have been altered in some way. So that's Punisher number 1, which the sales data, the top weekly sale, there was a 9.8 sold for $199. This past week, there were a total of 15 units sold for a growth rate of 328%. The most common raw sold is a 7.0 to 8.5, very fine for $48. And the most common slabbed was a 9.6 for $190. So that's Punisher number 1 on the CovrPrice Top 10 list. January 20th, 2025. Then we move down to the number 9 spot, which is Ultimate Wolverine, the Alessandro Capaccio regular cover. So there's none on the CBCS population report, but the top weekly sale was a CGC graded 9.8 for $60. This week, the number of units sold was 72 for a growth rate of a whole 1%. 1%. But the most common raw is a near mint 9.0 to 9.4 for $11, and the most common slab is 9.8 for $59. So then moving on to the number 8 spot is all new Venom number 1, the Bingus Marvel versus Capcom, which there are none on the CBCS population report. So sales data. Top weekly sale, there was a $25 near mint raw sold. Weekly units sold has a number of 9 for a growth rate of 3%. The most common raw was a near mint 9.0 to 9.4 that sold for $20, and there are none slabbed at either company, so nothing to report on slabs. Next, in the number 7 spot, the Amazing Spider-Man 65, the NetEase Marvel Rivals variant, which there are currently none on the CBCS population report. So, weekly sales. Top weekly sale was $30 for a near mint raw. Weekly units sold is 22 for an increased growth rate of 8%. The most common raw was a near mint 9.0 to 9.4 for $23, and the most common slab, CGC I would assume, is 9.8 for $85. So that was the number 7 spot. Now the number 6 spot, Wolverine number 4, the Bingus Marvel vs. Capcom variant, which there are none on the CBCS population report. But sales data. Top weekly sale was $47 for a CGC 9.8. This past week, there were 6 units sold for a growth rate of 50%. The most common sold was a near mint 9.0 to 9.4 for $15. The most common slab, a 9.8 for $47. So that's Wolverine number 4, the number 6 spot. That's our halfway point. So right now I'd like to say thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're having a good time. Now, I do have a recommendation here to toss in. A couple of months we've got Invincible Battle Beast number 1, and the C cover is a blind bag cover. Might get something associated with Battle Beast, Invincible. You might get the A through J covers, one of those might be signed, who knows. But you might want to look out for Invincible Battle Beasts number 1, the C cover, which is polybagged. So we just thought I'd throw that in. And again, thank you so much. So let's get moving on to the number 5 spot, which is Fantastic Four number 247. So this list for Fantastic Four 247 isn't that huge. It really isn't, but I'll read it off to you anyway. So we've got this is direct editions. Got 5 9.8s, 4 9.6s, 2 9.4s, 4 9.2s, 1 9.0, and 2 8.5s for a total of 18 blue label direct. Yellow label direct, we have 1 each, 9.6, 9.4, and 7.0 for a total of 3. Then blue label newsstand, Same, one 9.6, one 9.4, and one 7.0 for a total of 3 Blue Label newsstand. Yellow Label newsstand, there is one 9.6. That's it. But Blue Label other, there are 2. There's a 9.4 and a 9.2 and no Yellow Label others. So the sales data for Fantastic Four 247, the weekly top sale was a CGC 9.8 for $295. Units sold this week were 37 with a growth rate of 84%. So the most common raw was a fine 5.0 to 6.5 for $5. And the slab most common was a 9.8 for $223. Interesting. The synopsis on Fantastic Four 247. Should look it up. Okay, then we move down to the number 4 spot, which is Daredevil 14, the Dan Panosian regular cover. And this is the first cover appearance of Muse from Daredevil. There is currently at CBCS, there is one Yellow Label 9.6. That's it. So sales data. Top weekly sale was a CGC 9.8 for $80. If you're in the market, looks like you really need to pick these up. That's hot and cheap comparatively. So this week, the number of units sold was 10 for a growth rate of 71%. And in raw grade, the most common sold is a near mint 9.0 to 9.4 for $45. And the most common slab was a 9.8 for $125. So you might want to pick up Muse because he's coming to Daredevil Born Again. So there we go. I don't have one. You should get one. Next, the number 3 spot is the Mark Spears Monsters number 3. Mark Spears from Bird City Comics, The Bride double-sided, which is limited to 600 copies. And there are none on the CBCS population report. So sales data. Top weekly sale was a CGC 9.8 for $110. Weekly units sold this week was 9 with a growth rate of 24%. Most common raw was a near mint 9.0 to 9.4 for $66. The most common slab was a 9.8 for $110. So there we go there. Now we're down to the number 2 spot, which is Storm 4, the NetEase Marvel Rivals cover. None on the CBCS population report. Sales data. Top weekly sale, a near mint sold for $45. This week there has been a number of 56 units that have changed hand for a growth rate of 259%. Most common raw was a near mint 9.0 to 9.4 for $25, and there are currently none slabbed and available, so no slab sales. Then we move on to the number 1 spot on CovrPrice Top 10 list is Kanto, A Place Like Home number 6, the Flops cover. So there are none on the CBCS population report. What we've got on sales data, we've got top weekly sale was a $60 near mint. Weekly units sold, there has been 31 that have changed hand for a growth rate of 947%. So the raw, most common sold was a near mint 9.0 to 9.4 for $49, and none on the CBCS population report, and apparently none on the CGC population report either, because there are 0 sold for slabs. There we have it. That is the CovrPrice Top 10 list for January 20th, 2025. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next time. Okay, everybody, bye.